Hey, welcome back to Leavetherest. I'm Caleb Bridges, and what I'd like for us to talk about today is actually the story of Mary and Martha, which we can read about in Luke 10:38 through 42. And if you're not familiar with this story or this verse, I'll give you just a quick overview. So basically what we see in the scripture verse here is that Christ is coming to the home of Mary and Martha. And it says that when Christ came, Martha was very busy about preparing. So she was probably cooking food, she was probably getting the rooms ready, she was doing all this preparation, so she was working quite hard. And the scripture also tells us that Mary was simply sitting at Christ's feet. And so what we see is Martha actually goes to Christ and she says, basically, Jesus, would you please tell Mary to help me out here? I'm doing all this work and she doesn't seem to be doing anything. But it's the response that Christ gives to Martha asking for help that I think is so critical and key here. And to be honest with you, something that I've read many times, but I don't know if I've ever really caught quite like I have here recently. So I want to read Christ's response to Martha. He says, "Martha, you are worried and troubled by many things, but one thing is needful. Mary has chosen that good portion, and it will not be taken from her." Okay, so I've read this many times, and I think in my own life I've always sympathized for Martha because I've always felt like, man, Martha's out trying to serve people, she's out working, she's doing all the hard work, and Mary's in here being lazy. Mary's in here sitting at Christ's feet. And so I always kind of felt sympathy for Martha. And I think though Christ's response is so neat because Christ doesn't come out and say, "Martha, what you're doing isn't important." He doesn't say, "Martha, you're doing the wrong thing." No, Christ simply prioritizes what's most important. He doesn't say that stuff isn't important. He doesn't say that somebody doesn't need to do it, and at times it is important. No, what Christ says is that one thing is needful, and Mary has chosen the good portion, and it will not be taken from her. And that's what I kind of want to focus on for just a little bit. It made me start to think about a lot of different things as I was reading that. For one, I think it sheds light on the fact that God certainly wants and desires us to work. It's not that we're all supposed to abandon our jobs or abandon any pursuit of helping another person just so that we can sit at His feet in prayer. That is not the kind of idea that I'm trying to put off here. But at the same time, I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in our work, we get so wrapped up in what we're doing, that we almost lose sight of the purpose and the reason for the work that we actually do. I think I can see this especially in our current culture. We make it a habit to always be busy. We're always doing something, and it's not always bad stuff. I think many times we think about our jobs and we think about the things that we're doing in life, and we have goals in mind, right? We work so that we can provide for our families. We go to the gym so that we can lose weight. We read and pray so that we can grow in our relationship with Christ. And so we have these goals or these things in mind for the reason why we do what we do. But I think many times it's easy for us to start working, and after a while of doing that work, we actually begin to lose sight of what we're working for. And after a while, here we are endlessly working towards something that we've lost sight of why we're doing what we're doing. And we get into this train or into this circle or in this pattern of just doing and doing and doing. We kind of lose sight of why. And I think this is especially dangerous for us in our spiritual walks. Because if I'm going to church every Sunday, if I'm reading my Bible every day, if I'm praying, those are really good things. But if I lose sight of what the reason is, then it kind of loses all purpose. And I think Christ really helps it make sense here when He says one thing is needful. In other words, He's saying, I'm what's needed. He wants us to work for Him. He loves the fact that we serve one another and we do these good deeds. But what He's saying is what I really want is you. What I really want is intimacy. What I really want is for you to be one with me. And I think the truth is that the work isn't bad. In fact, it's good. And it's good in the sense that I think the work and the things that we do, whether it's serving another person or whether it's just going to our job every day, I think that those hold the power and the ability to change us. A lot of the things that we do in life, the struggles we face, the work that we accomplish every day, The importance of those things is that that's what's actually changing who Caleb is. That's who's changing the people that we are the situations we face, the hardships we go through. Those are the things that hold the power to make me into a different type of person. And at least in my own life, I hope that I'm changing daily, because I know I'm very far from the type of man that I want to be. So I guess what I'm saying is the work is important, because the work is what transforms me. And that's the reason being obedient and doing that work is important. But there's a danger there, and I think Satan always loves to take good things and twist them. You know, his only ability to create sin is to twist good things. And so even when we're trying to do things for God, I think he really wants to twist those things. And I think one way he twists them is to cause us to get forgetful. We lose sight of what we're doing, and we just keep doing it. So yes, I'm doing good things, but maybe I've lost sight of what the purpose and the reason is. And hopefully that purpose and reason is to draw me closer to God. And I guess the last thing that I want to kind of say in this is the powerful statement that I think Christ makes. And I just want to read this because I think it's just so good. It says, "Martha, you are worried and troubled by many things." Aren't we all worried and troubled by many things? Aren't we a bunch of people, especially today, who's constantly anxious, constantly worried, constantly thinking about, man, what am I going to do about tomorrow? How am I going to pay the bills? What am I going to do about this job? Where am I going? Our minds are so crowded with stuff. And it says, "But one thing is needful, Mary." One thing is needful, and Mary has chosen that good portion, and it will not be taken from her. So what Mary did is she chose Christ. She prioritized. One thing is needful, and I think that's a good reminder for me, because I think there's a lot of things in life that I want. A lot of things, unfortunately, that I've even probably convinced myself that I can't be happy without. And I think the truth is that there's one thing that's needful, and that's Christ. And if I have Christ, and I have everything I need. Yeah, there's a lot of things. What I'm not trying to say is that it's wrong to have desires. I think God's given us great, wonderful desires in life. But I think so many times those desires in our life, when they're not fulfilled, we find ourselves being impatient. We find ourselves being depressed. We find ourselves sinking into despondency because we feel like without those things we can't be happy. But I think what this verse reminds us of is that one thing is needful, and that's Christ. So I hope this has been an encouragement to you. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.